Hi all, it's Kimani here. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'd really love to discuss how to organize your time efficiently, how to organize your time well. And this is a skill that I've had to master as someone, okay, let me give you guys the gist. So, during GCSE years, I actually went to a school that was about 1.5 hours commute away from me, which meant like after school, after all the interventions, I would have like a 1 hour and a half commute. It meant that I was waking up at around 5 o'clock to get ready to leave the house at around between 6 and 7. So that was a lot. And then during A levels, obviously we have the whole like shebang that comes with A levels, the busy schedules. For the first like 6 months, I actually did 4 subjects. And then after that, I did three. However, I did have a part-time job as a tutor. So that was a time in my life where I also had to learn how to manage my time really efficiently. And now currently I'm doing an apprenticeship. Obviously, I'm working and studying at the same time, which means again, building on and developing the skills I need to organize my time well. And I picked up some tricks here and there, and I really would love to share with you guys because I know organizing your time can be really important. I hate the feeling of being overwhelmed or stressed like I have too much to do. So in this video, I'm going to share all my helpful tricks and tips to help you guys successfully manage your time well. So my first tip for you guys is to establish your priorities. Now this is really important because it's going to let you know sort of like what tasks you need to do ahead of time, what tasks are important, what tasks are urgent. A really good tool to use is the urgent important matrix, which is essentially just like this sort of like square table where you can have like important but not urgent, important but urgent, urgent but not important, and then not urgent and not important. Now the not urgent and not important stuff you can just delegate to somebody else, or it's something that you really shouldn't be stressing over. On the other end of the scale, there's urgent and really important. This is what you want to this is what you really want to schedule into the day. These are the tasks that you want to do first. And so it's really important to establish your priorities early, because if you imagine, it prevents you from wasting time. A lot of the time, if you just put down a to-do list of things you need to do, there's a huge tendency to maybe just go what's easy, what's quick, what's fast. And whilst that's all well and good and that can probably help increase your productivity, I've had a lot of people start off with easy tasks and then build up to harder tasks in order to help them get into focus, the study mode, the work mode, whatever mode they're supposed to be in. However, it can also be used as like a procrastinating method, which is why it's really important. Don't just write down a list of what you need to do. Write down write along with that list, sort of like list your priorities as well. What is important, what is urgent, what is not important, what is not urgent. And this will help you like plan out your day, plan out your week, plan out your month in a way that will one be less stress inducing, because a lot of the urgent and really important stuff will be done early, but also because you know you want to be dedicating a certain amount of energy to different tasks, and the task that you should be dedicating the most energy to is important and urgent. Not important, not urgent, you shouldn't be stressing about. Just because they're something on your to-do list that you need to do doesn't mean you should be stressing about it. So that's really important. Establish your priorities early so that you can create an effective plan to knock all your things off your to-do list. Second tip is to start your projects early, your tasks early. Now this is really helpful because if you start your projects and tasks early, it means you've got ample time to complete things. One technique to do this is, instead of just going by like the deadline which someone else is giving you, such as your school or your workplace, maybe set that deadline 3 weeks before or 1 week before, depending on how like urgent or like how important it is. The more urgent, the more important it is, you should set your own personal deadline way earlier, because it gives you that room in case something goes wrong, in case you're not in the mood, in case just people don't get back to you. It might be a group project. You have that leeway in order to complete everything you need to do. Starting your projects early also gives you more time, especially if it's like something like an essay. It gives you more time to think on the project. It will most likely lead to higher quality work because you're not stressing to get it all done in the end. You can do small consistent chunks over time, which are a lot more doable than just like scheduling, oh, I'll write an essay in like a week or so. That in general is going to be very stress inducing, and it's also might be likely that you might not be able to get it done at the quality you want in time. So it's best to start your task early so that you have ample room to prepare, to work, to address any issues that might come up during that time. Thirdly, you really want to establish what sort of like technique of organizing your time works well for you. Now, for me personally, I like to organize my time in two methods. Either goal oriented or like scheduled time. Now, scheduled time means that I usually like block out a part of my day to do something in particular, and I try very much to stick to that time. I usually dedicate this scheduled time technique to like smaller tasks or like less important tasks, just because I noticed a lot of the time, like when it comes to like easier stuff, like smaller stuff, there's a tendency to like spend too much time on them. So scheduling time out of my day to say, oh, okay, I'm doing this in this amount of time really helps me stay on track. And it means that I'm not spending like exhausting too much energy, too much time on something that really isn't important, something that's easy or something that's not urgent. The other technique I use, I like to call goals oriented. So goals oriented is essentially I set a goal for myself, and how long it takes me to complete it, that's how long it takes. Like for example, I might say to myself, I'm going to revise this flashcard set let's say at maybe like 4 o'clock. And however long it takes me to do that, it takes that long. And I usually use this technique for like longer, more difficult, more important projects, just because for me personally, I don't like feeling rushed into things. I feel like when I used to schedule time for like more difficult tasks, it put a lot of pressure under myself, and a lot of the time it wouldn't get done in the completed. So personally, I find goals oriented really well because it gives me that room to like really dedicate to the task. I don't feel like pressure to complete it in like a certain amount of time. Of course, obviously, you don't want to be spending too much time on it. Look at your schedule, look at your to-do list, look at what you need to do. But like it's just in general, like of course I have an estimate in my mind, but like it's just nice to know that okay, if I don't complete this within the hour, that's fine. I can go on to 2 hours. Like as long as I get this right or I get this done, that's okay. Another piece of advice I would give to those who want to organize their time better is to understand how you use your time even before you organize it. This is especially important if you like to procrastinate with social media, etc. Because I hope you know like how much of your time that you thought you weren't free, you are actually free, but you're just doing something else. And I think this can be really useful because finding out how much time you procrastinate will allow you to schedule your time better. I know for me personally, I will sort of like block out the time I procrastinate as part of my schedule, if that makes sense. So like instead of like me like scheduling to do something at like 12 o'clock, I'm just like I'll do it at 12 o'clock, but I know personally I will procrastinate what I need to do. I'll say instead, oh, okay, I'm going to start this at 11. And it's sort of like a mental note, like I'm gonna start at 11, but I know personally I'm gonna procrastinate for an hour before I start that task, especially if it's really difficult. So like I want to start at 12, so instead I schedule my time to start at 11 to account for that 1 hour I procrastinate, so that by 12 I'm just like, oh, okay, I've procrastinated for this long, that's enough. Let's get on this task, if that makes sense. And I think that's a really useful way to sort of like trick your mind into like thinking sort of like yeah, trick your mind into being on time for doing tasks that really need to get done. And then my last tip for you guys is to master intrinsic motivation. Now, what is intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation? Extrinsic motivation is where you're like sort of like motivated, you're encouraged to do something by other people. So in the case of like let's say work, you're motivated to do something on time because you know other people need what you're producing or the work you're doing. And I find that it's really easy or like easier to sort of like block and manage your time when you know that someone else is sort of like holding you accountable to it. that's the intrinsic motivation coming in. You don't want to disappoint someone, you don't want to let someone down, and so it's much easier to like not procrastinate, to do what you need to do on time. What happens with, especially when it comes to like academics, because at the end of the day, even if your like teachers or lecturers scold you, at the end of the day it is your grades and it is your sort of work that you're doing, is that you really need to master like intrinsic motivation. You need to be able to hold yourself accountable, because you can use all the techniques that I've used in my video, but if you can't hold yourself accountable to what you said, to the things that you were going to do, to the time you've blocked, to not procrastinating, then it's all for naught essentially. I personally really like to create an image for myself, as in like, what do I really want in life? What is this work I'm doing, even though it's difficult, going to help me accomplish in the future? I personally find that a lot better than just like sort of like catastrophizing what's gonna happen, like thinking, if I don't do this, this thing is really bad is gonna happen. That personally doesn't work for me. That stresses me out. But if it works for you, go ahead and imagine that. But I would say, like, personally, think like positive thoughts. Like, what are you going to get out of this? What are you learning from this? What is this going to contribute to? Is it going to contribute to a better grade? Is it going to contribute to that project, or that like passion project that you've been really dedicated to? Really think about like the positive end result of your actions, and I find that that will help you like focus more. It will help you like stick to time more, because you're motivated to do something for yourself. But yeah, that's all my tips that I have for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you'll implement some of my tips, or you find my tips helpful in managing your time, whether it's for studies, whether it's for work, whether it's for both like me. But I really hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.